I'd like to call to order the Personnel and Finance Committee meeting for Monday, December 7th, 2015. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Wood.
Here.
Alder Bussey.
Here.
Mayor Miller.
Here. And before we move on to the agenda, on behalf of the committee, we'd like to welcome our new city administrator, April Little. A new face has joined the ranks today, so we hope this is the beginning of many, many, many meetings for you.
I was going to say, you're going to say meetings, aren't you? Finance and personnel, that is my favorite.
Well, we knew that. That's a given until the council starts.
That's the important stuff.
So welcome. Always keep the mic near you because we have throngs of viewers that like to hear and will listen to every word you speak. So with that, I would entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of the November 16th meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any corrections, deletions, or additions? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. We do have a guest this evening, one of our favorite attendees for the public appearances section, Mr. Jeff Belongia of, what's the name of that? Hutchison, Shockley, and someone else is here. If you want to step to the mic, Jeff, welcome, as always.
Appreciate that. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. April, welcome. This is a wonderful AA+ credit, so pretty darn strong, and we're pretty proud of it. So you're in good hands if you need money. What I just wanted to do is obviously say hello and welcome April. As you probably know, we're looking at funding our CIP, or 2016 capital projects. We have set a tentative sale date for you for the first meeting in February, which I believe happens to be February 1st at Monday. We're obviously in the process of updating our official statement. With that particular issue, I also wanted to just note to you that there's a 2008 issue that we did for CIP, and we parked about $2.1 million in year 9, callable now. At the time, the rates were higher than they are today. Really happy to say, looking back, that it was a smart thing to do. We amortized a good portion of that over the first 7 years, but it was at an average of just over 4%. We are now going to restructure and call that issue along with our CIP. So we did not create a scenario where we have a second issue. We're doing it together in one issue, as we have done in the past. And this is more, I suppose, for April's education now, because you guys have been through this a bunch. But as you know, keeping our debt short has, it's been earmarked in our ratings. Rating agencies like short debt. And we're now in a position to do some things I know that Kathy had talked about years ago when we said, hey, why are we financing all of our CIP over 10 years when a lot of these stuffs will last 15 and 17? And this was my explanation. I said, well, we really are financing them longer than 10 years because of the way in which we're structuring and refinancing. So we're going to refinance that particular, we'll call it a balloon, at something under a true interest cost of 2.3%. So looking back at stopping at a 4 1/8 and not going another 7 years to probably a 5 1/2 saved us a ton of avoided interest costs. So that's kind of just what I wanted to touch base with you on. We're on schedule to do that. I'll be meeting with Mark in April, not this Thursday as we had anticipated, but probably next Monday. Again, I also wanted to...
Congratulations, thank you. The one thing I will ask, so I don't have to explain before she even looks at the budget and sees that we capitalize squad cars. If you could do your quick scenario about how our prudent money management capitalizes squad cars.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think when you're doing a 10-year issue, we're paying for these cars over 10 years, and that's not the case. What we're doing is we're structuring your debt so that anytime we have equipment purchases, we are making sure that we pay those off in the first 3 years in this example. So no, those squad cars will be paid for over the first 3 years. And as you know, the way in which the state budget works and forces you to capitalize and pay for, or borrow, if you will, equipment purchases, as opposed to trying to stick them in your levy, it interferes with your operational side of things, which we don't want to have you do. So I appreciate the question, Mayor. We are not financing squad cars for 10 years. And we do not finance anything past its useful life and never have since I've been here. I did also want to mention what a lot of my clients are asking right now is the Federal Reserve System's been talking about bumping rates, and I think you've all heard it. Yellen addressed Congress on last Friday. And of course, we've been watching the impact of that. It really has been a change of about 2 basis points in the 10-year Treasury over the last month, 0.02%. The market's really figured that in. We know the feds are going to start bumping that short-term rate. It's going to affect money supply. It's the way in which they control, obviously, the inflation, they believe. So that's going to happen. Will it impact us on the February 1st sale? Probably not much. You know, Jim and I were chatting a little bit before the start of the meeting, and rates could even be a little bit lower then than they are now. Last week, when I looked on Thursday before the speech, Thursday afternoon, the 10-year Treasury was at a 228, I think it was. Today it's at a 221. So that's really where the cost of our money is, more through that 10-year scale than it is in the first couple of years. Obviously, a couple basis points isn't going to be the end of the world. So I just wanted to give you that. But you can see that from the handout today from the Bloomberg brief, the muni slope just flattened. So basically what it means is that yield curve is kind of gone like this. It isn't that the 10-year hasn't moved much. The short end's coming up a little bit. But.
Well, we appreciate you picking us as your favorite city and the only city you will work with. So I hope April will want to continue that relationship going forward. Mark?
He brought up we are looking to borrow in February, and the reason why just if you recall back in the budget meetings, we had a situation with the fire truck, and to purchase that, we'd have to get the extra discount to borrow that money up front, so we can get that going with that and save some money. So that's why we're doing it sooner than we usually do it.
25,000, if I recall.
It's like 35, I think it was.
It's a big savings. Any questions of Jeff? No. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No one else here for the public hearing section. Declare that closed. For the appearances section, there's no unfinished business this evening under new business. Item 6A is consideration of Resolution 15-122061, adopting a facility use agreement to sell Christmas trees at Ahuska Park. And if this doesn't pass, can we wait until at least Wednesday so I can get mine?
Yes.
Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
I'll second for discussion.
Jake, welcome.
Sure. Thanks for having me back again. Little history on tree sales at Ahuska Park began in 2012. Toby Franzen, Monona resident, had inquired about the possibility of selling Christmas trees during the day after Thanksgiving through the Christmas season. We executed a 1-year facility use agreement at that time. There was a concern over keeping it open and fair to other tree vendors. The following year, we issued an RFP for a 3-year contract with a minimum bid of $1,000 per year. Toby was the only person to respond, business to respond, so that covered the years 2013, 14, and 15. So we're at the end of our 3-year contract with Christmas trees delivered, with Toby Franzen being the owner. In discussions with Toby over the course of the last couple of years, this is looking to be his main avenue of employment and business, and in order to invest more money and time into his tree farm that he has up north, he's looking at some security and where he can sell it and potentially not get outbid by a less reputable firm, over a course of a 2 or 3 year contract. And so took it to the Park and Rec Board this June, and based on our experience with the owner, Toby Franzen, and the business and feedback that we've gotten from the public, I'm being very receptive and a good steward of the community. We recommend to proceed in a long-term agreement. with Toby. And so it's a 15-year agreement. It was reviewed by Attorney Cole, and he made some modifications to the agreement that you have for you at this point.
Has there been ever any complaint?
I have not personally received any complaints regarding the tree sale at Ahuska Park.
Yeah, I have found the experience dealing with them in the last 3 years to be very enjoyable.
Yeah, he's
They're helpful, they're
yeah,
conscientious, and
yeah.
prices seem to be.
Yeah, he's got some of the lower, prices around. The quality of the tree is as well. It's a Wisconsin grown tree up in Anago, and it's a revenue source that goes back into our budget for the maintenance of athletic fields that we otherwise wouldn't have there in a very low utilized parking lot during this time of year.
And he completely cleans the lot at the end, right?
Correct, at
there's
the conclusion.
No city crew has to come and throw away old trees. Or
Nope. Yeah, he contracts.
Questions? Alder Bussey?
Yeah, it just seems to me 15 years is an awful long time. If there are changes in the use, we're already bumping up against some parking. If there's some off-season use that we can't perceive right now, it just worries me that all of a sudden we're locked into this contract. The other thing, I'm glad we got a good vendor and it's been working well. But the rental fee after 5 years is going up 1.5%, which, over 5 years is 0.3% a year as far as an increase. I understand a 3-year may not be, but with a 5-year, 15 just seems awful.
I can address the first point. In all of our facility use agreements, in which almost every group and vendor does not like, there's a stipulation in there that the city may get out of the agreement with a 30-day notice for any reason at any time. So while it is a long-term agreement, we as a city still have that option to get out of the agreement with a 30-day notice. As far as the price is concerned, just in talks with Toby, when he did this original bid, in discussion with other vendors in the area, he kind of overbid. And so while he's paying more now on what vendors in the area are paying for rent, in hopes of having a more stable, longer-term price. And so I look at it as, it's guaranteed revenue for something that we may or may not have at an option 5 years, 10 years down the road, if no other tree vendors happen to have, or we have a revolving door of, vendors that we don't have the same positive experience with.
I do know there was concern the first year because there was a perception that we had given away this prime spot, and there was another tree vendor came and harangued me pretty strongly about preferential treatment and everything. So that's when I approached Jake and said, we really do need to make sure that this is fair. No one stepped to the plate when they found out the obligation that the Ahuska location and payment. It is a higher payment than other lots are getting. It was, I don't know now, but it
Correct.
was 3 years ago. Further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay? I'll vote aye to break the tie. All right, thanks, Jake. Wrong one. Item 6B is consideration resolution 15-12-2062, withdrawing from the local government property insurance fund. Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Second.
Mark?
Yeah, this, I don't know if you were in the last budget, last governor's budget, they were in process to eliminate this fund. They decided to keep this fund because we get our insurance through the state fund, state insurance fund. What they ended up doing is they basically doubled, over 2.5, over doubled our premiums with the state fund insurance, basically trying to get everybody to withdraw from the fund. So this would give us the withdrawal from the state fund, which now we budgeted what was in CIVMIC, or their insurance carrier, basically for every other insurance that we have, is get into the property insurance, and they gave us a quote, which is what we put into the 2016 budget, which is about $10,000 less than what the state fund is. So this is authorizing us to withdraw from the property insurance fund. The reason why we don't have another one on here for CIVMIC to be approved is we have a local insurance vendor going to come and give us a quote. So that's why we didn't put approval of the CIVMIC in here, but this is just to get the process started so we can withdraw and go to another vendor.
Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passes. Thank you. Moving on to item number 7 is acceptance of the general fund accounts payable checks dated November 13th through December 2nd, 2015. Mark?
Yeah, it's getting towards the year end, so we'll see a lot of little stuff coming through. And some of the bigger stuff, page 1, Burroughs and Brady. We borrowed with Monona State Bank for the purchase of the property of EDS, and this was their fee for basically the attorney on the borrowing that we have to have. It's a requirement. Page 3, Badgerland. These were, it says 2014 stormwater projects, so really it started in 2014, but we were done in 2015. These are the big projects that were just done with the new, just done recently. We're in the process of
So is that the culvert down
culverts,
in Winnequa?
Yep, in the other areas too that we did them.
So is that 100% payment, or is this a partial payment?
The total amount was roughly $600,000 for everything. We are getting grant money for this, which we haven't received yet, but I think we're getting 200 and some thousand of grant money.
Okay. Just seemed like a large amount for a company to sit there
Yeah.
and not collect.
But they did 4 different spots, so this is
Okay.
the first payment for them. Bruce, underneath that, Bruce Equipment. This was the lead truck that was in the 2015 capital budget. It was already used, but this is just purchasing it. Page 5, JF Yarn, water facility improvement. This is another 2015 capital project for the water facility improvements. This is now completed. Underneath that, Johnson Trees, we just did our 4th quarter. This is the 4th quarter payment for that. Underneath that is LW Allen. We had some repairs we needed on our lift stations. Fortunately, when they need repairs, it's kind of priced. That. Landmarks. This is their fuel for 1 month. So you kind of take a look at what we're at for fuel costs for 1 month.
Mighty Light on that page, was that capital purchase?
That was a capital approved for the senior center.
Okay.
Page 7, public administration. That's the recruitment. South Central on page 8. It's a library system. It's one of their annual support payments. That's all budgeted for. Page 12. This was just recently approved in it was actually approved by council just recently. It was part of the 2015 capital. It's the Hastings Air Energy Controls, the fire exhaust system, the garage exhaust system.
One question, I'm sorry, but to go back to page 9. I see we have 4 invoices for fax machine lines. Did we not switch over to Spectrum, Charter Spectrum for a phone system, or no?
What's one invoice? What I'm sure. It's one invoice split 4 ways, but I'll have to look, see if
I was just wondering why we would keep an account with AT&T when all of our other lines are on.
I know that, you know, they had looked at it before, and I don't know the exact reason why. I'll talk to Leah and see what
Would you, yeah.
figure out what they. I think it has to do something with the wire. That line
Okay.
specific just for that fact.
But just so somebody's checking, to, doing redundancy.
Yep. Just one page thing, page 14, going to page 15.
13, Jamar Technologies.
That's for the police department. Their radars that they need for their, it's part of the capital purchase that they had. It's for their radars so they can record information on there. Page 14, going to 15, something small. We do try to go local as we can. So we do use a lot from Menards. It's heavily used by our staff for a lot of our purchases. We try to keep it as much as possible within the city. Page 16, Royal Recycling, the yard waste dumpster. I believe Dan said today, I think they're done with it on Wednesday. It'll be closed. Yep. Be closed. The dumpsters down by the Public Works building. Page 17, they're starting already with SCS Engineering. They're working on the Schluter Park site, finishing that part up. I think that Strand is working on for us for this month. And that's all I have.
How are we doing on an appraiser?
We are working on that.
I mean, have we put the
Not
R2 or P?
No, I didn't work to get that out. So
When do we have to have that done by, or?
I checked with Bill what the dates are for that. So it's very
Okay.
soon.
If you could just put that high on your list. Any further questions? I would entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
Motion second. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Checks have been approved. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.